Ladies and gentlemen, today I have the pleasure to welcome again Ms. Maria Deras. She's an artist, a musician, YouTuber, dancer, painter, and also a writer. And today we're going to talk about the Afro-Mexicans. I would love to know about their history, their culture, and the place they occupy in the Mexican nation. Miss Maria, again, thank you very much for joining me on the Human Rights Tree.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm so honored. I'm very humble because I've been since 2000 year teaching Afro dance, African dance, and then I had the opportunity to go to Guinea, Conakry, which is West Africa, and I haven't digest everything that has been given to me, and it keeps going on. That's why I'm humble, because I keep learning from you guys, from the African culture, and it's something that it's rooted in our system, in our blood, in our world. So Africa is huge. It's been huge in my life. It's given me so much. So it's an honor for me. I'm so glad and I'm so honored to be here. And thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure. So I'm going to go right away into the question. Can you tell us the origin of Afro-Mexicans and how they first came to Mexico?
Yes, they came. The record is when the colony in Mexico, it's called the colonialism or colonialism, when Hernán Cortés came with all the ships from Spain and conquered America through Cuba, through San Salvador, the island, and kept bringing ships full of slaves. So it's called the slavery stage, when Spanish ships will go to Africa, take slaves, put them to in Portugal or Spain, but mainly in Portugal, and then they came all the way to America, and they were mainly from West Coast, all the Malinke culture. So West Coast of Africa, but also from Angola, from Congo, from Nigeria, and they settled in all Mexico, of course, Cuba, and also South America, but also in North America. So we have, in the first time, people from Congo, from Angola, from West Africa, directly in Mexico in the 16th century. So after that, of course, faded. All the Africans mixed with Indians and Spanish, and everything was mixed, and it started fading. But that's the beginning was the colonialism, the 16th century, with Hernán Cortés, with all this traffic, slavery traffic.
I see. But when you come to you, do you see yourself as Afro-Mexicans, or you see yourself as a Mexican?
I used to see myself as a Mexican because I didn't know this until I started studying the drum, the djembe, and I discovered it was brought to Mexico through the slavery, and I knew there were slaves working in Mexico back in those times. And then when they revealed and when they tried to get the freedom from slavery, they started dancing and drumming and kind of making fun of the owners of the owner,
the slave owners.
yeah, the slave owners. And then I knew the dancing and the drumming were brought from Africans directly from Africa, from Angola, from West Africa, from Congo, and then here they mixed with Indians and Spanish. So I thought I was like just Indian with a Spanish, but then I found out that it was probably in my blood that I was Afro-Mexican. I probably have African blood. I don't know how faded. And my dad was like very curly hair and very, very, very dark skin, almost black. My dad was very deep brown skin. He passed away like 2 years ago, but he
my condolences.
Oh, thank you. He always told me that see, we used to go to the beach and I would love to go and have very tan skin and under the sun because I love the sun. And I was like very dark skin and he was like, do not go all those hours under the sun because you're already black. And I'm like, but I like it. I like to be black. And he always reminded me that he's like, you're gonna be like a cup of coffee, you know, like chocolate, like, but he told me, you're like a cup of coffee. And I'm like, I like that. And so I kind of press myself to be black all the time. I don't know why, but I love to be, when I was a little girl, I loved to be black. And I was like, it's okay.
Maybe you're trying to find a way to connect with the ancestors.
Yeah, I was not, you know, upset when my dad like, no, do not do that to your skin. I'm like, but I like it. So
yeah.
I was, yeah.
Basically, in the mainstream, when you come to Mexico, because I did have the chance to visit Mexico once, I see Mexico not through the eyes of a country that have a presence of Africans, African Mexicans. Now, through that view, when you were going to school, learning through elementary school or high school, did they teach you about Afro-Mexicans? And if they didn't, why they didn't teach you about it?
Well, when I was like very into this theme, and then by the time I was like deeper and deeper investigating and searching and everything, I found out that the education will not tell us that the second president in Mexico was Afro-Mexican, which is Vicente Guerrero. He was an Indian black, like direct from African and Indian son, and he became very smart, very, very clever, very authentic, and passionate about his country. And he was a general in the army in Mexico by that time. So the second president, he got to be the second president, but they kind of in the pictures in the books they put the second president was kind of like a little bit black or tanned skin, but they never will tell you. They will never tell you that he was Afro-Mexican. They will tell you he was like curly and moreno, you know, which is like half black or a little bit dark than white. But moreno will be the word, you know, but we never knew he was Afro-Mexican. So the term Afro-Mexican was until 2019 Constitution, Mexican Constitution recognized Afro-Mexicans, which is 2019, like 2000 years later. So it was like, no, more than 2000 years later, because this was 16th century was 17 something. Yeah. So 3 centuries later, like what? Or 2 centuries and a half later. So it's like they never teach you that we have a third root. They always tell you that it's Spanish and Mexican and Indian mixed, and that's it. But the third root, some people teach them maybe in places like Guerrero, Oaxaca, and Veracruz, which are the states that are more Africans, Afro-Mexicans, and not too faded, you know.
But despite the fact they didn't teach you, did you, growing up, did you recognize a distinctive Afro-Mexican culture among the society, or people will, or the Afro-Mexican were not even willing to share their uniqueness?
No, I grew up ignoring this completely. Even if I see people that it was like a little bit darker skin or curly hair, there was not a culture of recognizing Afro-Mexicans whatsoever. Not in cuisine, you know, the food, or culturally, like there was not an assignment that this is Afro-Mexican, no, whatsoever. Like there was always like just two roots, that's it. The other thing for me, I was ignoring completely until like maybe when I was like 2000, because I started 2000 teaching African dancing. Then I realized I had probably something in my blood, because when I was learning the steps, like my first teacher was from Argentina. It was not even Mexican or African. She was Argentine. But she learned Afro-Brazilian there in Argentina because she was very close to Brazil. So she got this like closeness from that. So she taught me that, and then she learned something from a Senegal guy, and then I started learning that probably like 10 years before I knew from this, there were some Africans from probably Senegal, Mali, and Guinea coming to Mexico City or Veracruz to teach. And then I learned people from Veracruz was learning from people from Guinea. Those were my first, when I first hear about there was something that we can probably learn from this second time, maybe African people coming to Mexico after, I don't know, 1980 or something. But from the beginning, from the colonialism, that knowing something about Afro-Mexicans, no.
As you indicated that in 2019, they officially recognized the Afro-Mexican as a group. Can you tell us the population? What is the percentage of Afro-Mexicans right now in Mexico?
I've learned that it's like 1.2%. It's like 2,005,076,213. It's like 1.5 million. It's like 1.2% of the population, of the whole population in Mexico. So it's, we're around 25, 28 million people in the all Mexican Republic. So it'll be like 1.2% of Afro-Mexican.
I see. So when you come to the fact, as you indicated, since the days of colonial system, the African were there, and during independence also they participated to fight. And one of the second president of Mexico was the African descent. However, it was in 2019 that the group was recognized. So, what are you doing as a people living in the nation of Mexico to affirm your culture? And whether the government of Mexico are helping you also into that goal of emancipation?
I think um, we I divide into parts this is the way I see this is in two parts. One part is people who is been born Afro-Mexicans, like maybe not too faded, and they are in Guerrero, and when they came, they come to all the country, and so different states we have black people, like the presence of African people in our like 10 states in Mexico, like 13 states out of 32 that we are. But like in 10 states, which is Guerrero, Estado de Mexico, Veracruz, Oaxaca, Ciudad de Mexico, my state, which is Jalisco, Puebla, Guanajuato, a little bit in Michoacán, and Nuevo León, which are people from, they are called Negros Mascobos. They are in Coahuila, and they are like very, they kind of kept their culture and their system as Afro-Mexicans. And also in Guerrero and in Oaxaca and in Veracruz. But a lot of states where the people were like mixing and they faded like through the time. That was the first part that the way I see that culture that remained, or they kept their culture as the Afro-Mexicans. But the other part, as I see it, is people like me, teachers like dance or percussion, musicians, that they feel like they have Africa in their hearts, and they've been traveling to Africa, the diaspora. They go to Guinea, or they go to Ivory Coast, they go to Angola, they go to South Africa, and they come back, and we teach people here in Mexico, and we give them this message that we have probably African blood in our veins, that we are probably Africans in our hearts. We don't know how much percentage of blood we are Africans, but some of my students, they tell me, I don't know, Maria, but I feel like I had to do it. That like I feel like I like this. That I feel like this is gonna free me, set me free from something, some feeling, some trauma that I have. And here is, I see these two parts: people that are fighting for their rights to be seen, to recognize their rights, because we still have discrimination, and constitutionally we're supposed to already have rights for them. But I see a lot of people complaining that they are like, not very well recognized, or they are like setting outside of some people complain that they don't have this job because they tell them that he's with threats or dark skin, and then no, you go to your country, go away from here, you're black. So there's still some discrimination. so this population, they are fighting for their rights, but we are another group that we are like teachers for dance, or to teach the music, the percussion, all the instruments, African instruments, that we cannot fall in love with the culture, whatever we connect with, could be Guinea, or could be, as I said, Nigeria or Cuban, because Cuba came to Mexico as well. And we know that Cuba were a mix from Nigeria and Congo. So a lot of Africans that settled in Cuba, they came to Mexico as well. So we have all this, and also we have Colombia coming to Mexico, and we have maybe Venezuela, or maybe Uruguay, Argentina themselves coming to Mexico and bringing all this music and culture, and we are already mixed with a lot of cultures here. But yes, Afro-Mexicans, I could see that it's like the ones that are more, they kept more the skin and all this culture and all this passion to keep their rights, or to fight for their rights, to be seen, to be recognized as Afro-Mexicans. And the others that we are not like that, much like that, but we all are in love with the culture. I don't know, it's something like we kind of felt that maybe, yes, we are part of them, but we, in spite or of if we are directly descendant from Africans, we are in love with them.
I see.
And it's not just us as teachers, or music or dancing teachers, but also maybe culture, like people that watch me with the fabric, with the tissues, and they fell in love with the colors, or with my paintings as well. Like, I do paintings with all my experience in Guinea. I still do paintings with Black people, and they're like, but why are you painting Black people? You're in Mexico. And I tell them, and then they're like, oh, I didn't know that, So we are influenced by Africa whatsoever. I mean, whether we know it, or we feel like, or even if we don't know, we maybe have this blood in us.
I see. If somebody go to Mexico and want to meet with the Afro-Mexicans, where should you go?
We have, as I said, 10 states, but they're all faded. But we can put 3 states more, that we have more, like, you're gonna see, like, you're gonna feel like if you're in Africa. You have Guerrero, Costa Rica, La Costa Chica de Guerrero, which is Guerrero State, and then you have Veracruz, and you have Oaxaca.
Okay.
So Oaxaca, Guerrero, y Veracruz are the most. They're es que it's because Mexico, Estado de Mexico, Mexico City, not, but the state of Mexico, you will find a lot of people like very, very black skin, and maybe probably, but together it's more easy. It's easier that you find them in Guerrero, Oaxaca, y Veracruz.
I see. Going, go ahead, please.
To Guerrero, Costa Chica de Guerrero, and Veracruz. Those 2 are the main, because Oaxaca and Guerrero are together, and Costa Chica, it's between Oaxaca and Guerrero. So Costa Chica and Veracruz, yeah.
I see. If somebody go to Guerrero or state that you named, do you have Afro-Mexican food? Because here we know the Mexican food, that is taco, burritos, and things. Is it a distinction from Afro-Mexican food from Mexican food? Is there a difference between those two?
Well, this is very difficult because first, I haven't been in Costa Chica de Guerrero.
Okay.
I haven't been in Veracruz, but I've been in Mexico City, which we have a lot of. As I see, in my experience, all the Mexican food, it's been so mixed.
Mm.
But I think you will find a difference in mostly in Guerrero.
Okay.
Guerrero y Oaxaca state, I think you will find more, maybe more differences in the food from the rest of the country. Actually in Veracruz, because I Oaxaca has a very, but I haven't been there,
Okay.
to be honest.
So there is not, for instance, in your city, there is not a restaurant that is specialized in Afro-Mexican food, and you have to go to Veracruz for that? Oh, okay. When you come to the music, we know Mexico is known for mariachi and Latin influence. Can you have a distinguished Afro-Mexican music?
Yeah, you know, um, different the difference from the kitchen, the food
Mm.
in music and dancing. Yes, we do have stronger influence from Africa because fandango, which was the way the slaves kind of made fun of the owners, the plantations, the sugar, the cane, the plantations. The slaves were working, and then when they had this rest, and they had the opportunity to play the drum, they were making fun of the owners, and they were making all this music and all these steps, and still we have those steps that are the movements, and those movements are so like crystal clear that you were making fun of the owners of the plantations, because all the movements were like kind of like making fun of the way the owner walked, or the way they do in their arms um to get free of those like carrying things or being treated bad. So all those movements were in the dancing, but also in the music. So when they do this fandango was the festivity, the party. Let's make a fandango. Let's put the tarima, which was the basement, like it was a base made of wood. So when you step on the wood, they kind of percussion with their feet. So it was like a noise with the feet, and then they will sing, and then they will play the drums, and then through the time they will put in the guitar and all that. So fandango was the party, and then they will sing and play and dance, and was from there it was little groups, and then they called mariage because they can play for the marriage, but then it was called mariachi. But this is called like because of French people came and started saying that it was a mariage.
Oh, mariage. Okay.
And then it derived in mariachi.
Mm.
So, but it was a like long time that they were just stepping in the wood, which was called the son of artesa, which was the tarim. That it was like a basement, wooded basement. You know, it was like if you put a platform made of wood, and so you do the percussion with your feet. But the first was like a canoe that they flipped it over and started doing the percussion with the feet. And then it was the basement made of wood, and then it was just the floor. And so we have the mariachi, in one part we have the music, the group of musicians called mariachi, and we have the son, la son jarocho in Veracruz. And then in Veracruz, they call the son jarocho. So they sing, they play, and they do the percussion in the tarima, in the basement of wood. And in Jalisco, in my state, it was not like in son jarocho, but it's el son de Jalisco. So we call it the mariachi here. So Michoacán and Jalisco, but more in Jalisco is the mariachi. So in my state is the mariachi.
I see.
Yeah, then they have it in Mexico City, but then the mariachi is from Jalisco, from my state. And we in Ciénega in Chapala, I went to teach like 5 years ago. And the Ciénega in Chapala, they're close to the lake, Chapala Lake. There were people like almost like Africans. They were like very dark skin and very curly hair. And I was like, wow. So even I had here like 30 years living in my state, in my city. I've never went to that small town, and they look like Africans. And I was like, oh. So see, it's like that. It happens like that all the time.
I see. Is it possible to, for instance, when you come to the movies and films or music theater, can you name few Afro-Mexican who were able to advocate for the Afro-Mexicans through music or through a movie or through their artistic work as a painting or theater? Do you have Afro-Mexican who were able to advocate the situation of Afro-Mexicans?
Yes, there are movies. There are. I've seen groups of women from Colombia to other countries, but also there are groups in Facebook or Instagram. They've been getting together to be more seen, to more visualization, and they've been like organizing meetings and movies and theater plays. It's been starting from like, I don't know, a couple years ago, or not so many years ago, but recently. But yes, like from COVID to now, it's been more and more that they are organizing more meetings.
I see.
And like this year, I realized that there's a group of Afro-Mexican women that have been empowered, getting together, showing their art, like singers, painters, dancers, maybe.
What about authors like books that were able to?
Right.
Do you have any author that you can say this person wrote about the Afro-Mexicans?
Well, I have here one of the Gonzalo Aguirre Beltran. He's already gone long time ago. But this book, La Población Negra de Mexico, like
okay,
population.
Can you put it near the camera so we can see? Okay, and his name is Gonzalo Aguirre Beltran.
Aguirre Beltrán.
Okay.
So he has this is beautiful. I just have the second book, but there are three. It's a trilogy.
Okay.
Trilogy. So it's an historic study, and he puts all the population from the colonialism through, I don't know, like.
So basically, it's a good book to read if you really want to know the realities of the Mexican nation.
Yeah, the beginning,
The beginning.
everything. I mean, it's like three books. As I said, I just have the second.
Okay.
But with this one, with this is so enlightening. But also after Gonzalo Aguirre Beltrán, there's the university in Michoacán.
Okay.
And people in Veracruz that are researchers. I will give you, because I don't remember her name, but she is a student from Gonzalo Aguirre Beltrán. She met him actually.
Okay.
So she's a lady that is in Veracruz. I don't remember her name. She has a very distinctive last name, but I don't know. I forgot. But that she was doing some meetings here in our city in Guadalajara, like a couple of years ago, and I went to the meeting, and she was talking about Gonzalo Aguirre. She was talking about a lot of all this movement, like Afro-Mexican movement from Jalapa, especially because she is from I think she lives in Jalapa or Mexico City, but she has made all this study from Afro-Mexicans, and the way we can do more visualization, so we can like grow more. Like there is a lady here in Guadalajara. She was doing all this festival with Cuban people and Afro-Mexicans, and that's why I went to the talk, to the conference. Yeah, it was a conference, and so Julia was doing all this like Cuban, Afro-Mexican, all this like African festival here in Guadalajara. But yeah, so eventually I've been invited sometimes to do all this participation with my class, my workshop, African dance workshop.
I see. We know that the majority of the population in Mexico are Catholic. Can we talk about Afro-Mexican religion? Were they able to preserve their religions?
No, I think in Coahuila, the Moscovo Africans, they they escaped slavery in the United States, so they were like received in Coahuila State, and they are there. So they are already Afro-Mexicans because they came from United States. I think they do keep their religion, but I don't know, to be honest. I would love to meet them sometime. You know, I would like to go to Coahuila, but as I know, they keep singing kind of this blues style. They are more like gospel style, and they are probably more like Christian, not Catholic. But I don't know if they have something like voodoo, or because people like in Guinea, when I was in Guinea, they had voodoo and they had Muslim and they had Christianity, but they were not Catholics. And here in Mexico, we are like 90% or more Catholic.
I see.
But here mainly in Mexico and all the country, I haven't heard that the Afro-Mexicans had another religion aside of Catholic or Christianity or Christianism. I don't
Okay,
think so. I don't think.
I see.
I don't know if they have. Yeah, I haven't heard that they had like voodoo or no.
But when you come also, when you come to the Afro-Mexicans, can we see on them a distinguished language? For instance, if you talk about Haiti, they speak Creole, and Creole is a mix of French and different African languages and dialect. When you come to the Afro Mexican, were they able to preserve somehow their language, or they all speak Spanish?
As far as I know, they all speak Spanish,
Okay.
but there could be some, for example, Indian Indian roots, like I don't know, it's been so mixed, you know. For instance, Nayarit State, we have we have black people in Nayarit State. We have Afro-Mexicans, but we also have Indian like Coras and Huicholes, not just one Indian, but two different Indian cultures in Nayarit and in Jalisco as well. So maybe there are Afro-Mexicans mixed with Indian, and they will speak Huichol or Cora,
Mm,
but that's already Indian. You know, it's not even African. It's not the original
I see.
from Guinea or from West Coast Africa West African coast. Or we can have in Oaxaca some Indian roots with Spanish, and but I don't know. I don't think there's in language. I think it was very prominent and very strong, the Indian influence and Spanish, of course, but it's very difficult. I haven't heard something that it's like, that's African. No, but could be that African people that are coming now and stay here in Mexico, maybe they teach. I mean, everything is possible already, but there will be like people from Africa that they decided to live in Mexico and started teaching. But I don't think. Well, that's a very small percentage people
I
that
see.
will teach their kids, and they are already Africans because I know people that are coming from Guinea and
Mm,
have kids with Mexicans, and they have this direct mix from Guinea to Mexico, and they speak Spanish, and they
okay.
also speak An or Pearl or Susu or
Oh,
Malinke, which I have a friend from Senegal, and
mm,
she got together with a Mexican guy, and they taught their little girl Spanish and Wolof,
I see.
and she is already Afro-Mexican now,
Mm,
but it's very modern. So we have this new generation with
okay.
the diaspora coming.
There, there,
It's
there
we
is a
have a
new generation of Afro-Mexican emerging um, from, from the mix of Mexicans, Africans, and um, Miss Maria, you basically see yourself, as you indicated, as Afro-Mexican. And what are the misconceptions people have about Afro-Mexicans? People may have about Afro-Mexican.
well, I think it is because it's all the time the same thing. Maybe with Indian culture in ourselves,
Mhm.
because I can say that I have Indian, but I don't speak Nahuatl and I don't speak Huichol and I don't speak Cora And I went to the Tarahumara Mountains for a year, and I lived between the Tarahumaras in Chihuahua State. And they are my Indians, but I when I when I lived among them, I didn't feel like them. They were so different from me. And when I went to Africa, I felt like they were my first home. I felt like in home. And I live in Mexico, and I don't know how how did how come I was born in Mexico feeling like so African. And a lot of people tell me that. And so this is the same thing. Like misconceptions are that we're all just Mexican or just Indian with Spanish, so we are Mexicans. And one misconception could be I have nothing of African, and you never know. If you have your DNA, and maybe you have 25% African, you never knew, and you are white skin and green eyes. So, but you never know. And so, could be because we have all this conception of the color, or we have conceptions are in the DNA that there's no way that I'm going to be African whatsoever. So could be cultural, could be mental conception, could be emotional misunderstanding. It could be like there's no way because I had this bad experience with Black people, or I was a slave. Maybe I was a slave in my other life. And see, I found people that have told me that we met and they said, I had this regression, like hypnosis, whatever. And I asked for you. She told me that she asked for me, that I was her dance teacher, and in her hypnosis, it came out that she was my student in another life, but singing student, and I was a Black teacher directly from Africa. I was African, and I was the teacher, but we both came. We were slaves. We were slaves, and I was her teacher and singing teacher, and in this life, I was her dance teacher, but we are not slaves anymore. So, it's like you never know what is gonna come, and people maybe in Mexico have this because of the education and because of cultural education, social roots, language, a lot of things that could be some block that we cannot understand, that we can have DNA with Africa. We can share the DNA with Africans, and maybe with Asian people, and maybe with Russian people. I mean, we never know.
As you indicated, you never know. However, I will come back to another topic, which is based on challenges and progress. You indicated clearly that the Mexicans Mexico has a nation recognized them as a group in 2019, which is very recent. So, what are the challenges most Afro-Mexicans face today when it comes to being viewed as equal?
I think we need to understand that we are multicultural. We're not just three roots. We are multicultural. We are just one person, and we have, as Afro-Mexicans, we have all this richness. We have all. I'm gonna say a word. Maybe it's difficult to understand, but I will use wealth. Riqueza in Spanish. this this wealth, spiritual, mental wealth, that has to do with being open to cultures, all cultures in Mexico. We have food from here. We have instruments, music from all over the world. But we have like harp in Mexico, but it comes from Africa, because it was the balafon, the xylophone. We have the drum, we have the voices, we have blood, we have the education, we have literature, we have poetry, we have painting, we have skills, we have the strength from Africa, we have the resilience from Africa. We have the strength and the resilience and the ability to form community, the solidarity from Africa, because Africa has a lot of things to teach us that we have no clue, we have no idea how joyful people in Africa are, despite all the limits they have economically, and all the boundaries and all the restrictions and all the limitations. And when you are there and you realize all they have suffered and go through and break through, and all that they have grown, and a lot of people that have, we are the ones that we have been there and come back to Mexico and teach that, we have to tell people as much as we can that the obstacles that we have here are nothing compared to that. But also, anything that we come through here in Mexico as Afro-Mexicans, we can learn from all the cultures we have in hand, you know. So if we are all this multicultural, we can get all resources from, you know, inner resources, mental resources, spiritual resources from being African, from being Mexicans, from being whatever. But we can be, as a nation, we can be whatever we want, because we have all this wealth, this richness, this all these abilities and capacity to grow and to conquer whatever it takes.
You see,
it goes beyond race. It goes beyond language. It goes beyond beyond physical identity. It goes being together, getting together, and learn from each other and make community. And if Africa has to teach us how to make community, how to be resilient, how to go through this problem, how to go through all these difficulties, because they've been through a lot of difficulties, and we can learn from them, then we can, we're not gonna face that much problem. It shouldn't, because we have all this. I think we have gold here in Mexico, and because people have been coming back from Africa, we go there, they come here. We also went back there, and then a lot of people is coming here already. So it's all this, you know, by
exchange.
It's like an exchange. Exchange. Yeah.
Okay. How we can acknowledge, you indicated here, and I did repeat it in many occasions, that the government constitutionally recognized the Afro-Mexican in 2019. Since then, is there any progress on fighting racism and discrimination when you come to the Afro-Mexicans?
I want to be an optimist because I've seen more like there are more people interested in make this visualization, like expand this culture. Yes, because they've been calling me more like, Maria, we knew that you are doing all this dance. Um, is there a possibility that you come and teach us how to do this dance from African? What does that mean? And if you teach girls, if you teach the food or the dances or the music, and there are more and more every year, every time there are more. There's this movement. As you know, as far as I know, there's more. There's more. There's more. Every time there's more. That's why I want to be optimist. But legally, as far as the constitution or rights, I feel like we still have a lot of work to do. I feel like there's more, there's a lot of racism. I feel, but it's not just here in Mexico, and it's not just with Africans or Afro-Mexicans, but also with Indians, and also with Indian Mexicans.
I see.
And here and in a lot of parts of the world, there's a lot of racism and discrimination and lack of visualization. But I've seen more and more participation, a lot of people knowing more and more. So as I as far as I know, and as I've been going through all my experience here in Jalisco, in Guadalajara, in my city, in my country, I've seen more people like learning from Africa, sharing, and a lot of organizations like women organizations getting together and trying to speak more and more. And yes, I've seen more. I've seen more.
I see. When you come to, as you indicated, there is a new generation, young Afro-Mexicans. Do you think the new generation of Afro-Mexicans are have the desire of sharing their identity, saying we are being proud of being Afro-Mexican, or you think they are not willing because of prejudices or being shamed, they are not willing to identify themselves as Afro-Mexican? What is the situation when you come to the youth Afro-Mexicans?
Well, I've seen little girls or young guys, young people like adolescents, teenagers, um, being in between. Okay, people all the time looking at me because I'm African and because I'm black and because they feel like all this distinction in their school, and sometimes they feel like like, and but sometimes I listen to them and they are like excited to be part of this. So I feel like both things. I feel like there's this still, okay, they are making fun of me or they are just watching me because I'm different, but also I'm happy to be in Mexico because I like Mexico. And if you've been in Mexico, we Mexicans are so much fun. We are all very warm people. We love to receive people. We are so, we like to host people. We are so like, we love to be a family. And so there are both. I think we are kind of like both. We are making people from Africa love being in love with Mexico, so they are coming back all the time. You know, my teachers from Guinea all the time coming. They love being here, and it's more and more and more and more. Teachers or the little kids that have been born here, they feel part of this, and now they feel like Mexicans. But also there's this all other part that is still like we still need to educate. We still need to educate.
Mm.
Yeah, it's gonna be okay, but it's
So has a woman, Afro-Mexican woman, what role woman in general can play on bringing awareness on making their children proud of being Afro-Mexicans? What they can do to make
question.
that thing happen? Mm.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Yeah, we have a responsibility. If we are Mexicans, Afro-Mexicans, or we consider ourselves we're like vessels, we are containers. We need to fill up ourselves in order to give out. So even I am not a mother, but I have students. I have little kids, and I have teenagers, and I have adults, and I have more than adults teaching. So every time as an Afro-Mexican woman, we need Afro-Mexican women or Afro-Mexican men. We need to give all these opportunities to our people, to our kids, and to be proud of all their roots, and then the opportunity for them to integrate, to be that it's okay to be African and to learn what is your culture. It's okay to be part Senegalese from Senegal, or it's okay to be from Jalisco. How are you gonna integrate and to be emotional, well prepared? Because many, like a lot of times, we as women, in spite of our roots, our culture, we're not prepared to be mothers. We're not prepared to educate with values. And sometimes we need to deal with our emotions, and we need to express them. O sea, I mean, both to deal with our emotions and to be able to express our emotions. So most of the time, in spite of our culture and our roots, we need to deal with our emotions, being aware what are we going through, because we are examples. We are our kids, our students watch us, and so if we're not like dealing with our emotions and expressing them, we cannot repress them, and then we are not being we're not the channels that we have to be. So it's a very good question. We need to all the time being honest to ourselves, you know, and being able to deal with our emotions and being prepared. This means keep studying, keep go to therapy, go to somebody to help you deal with your emotions if you're not able to, if you are going, you know, through a crisis as African, Afro-Mexican, or Mexican, or Indian, or if you don't know how to deal with a little kid, with all this like making fun of your kid in school because he's Afro-Mexican. If you're not able to deal with that, go to therapy, go to psychotherapy, or go to a mentor or coach to deal with your emotions, because you're not able to do that. And then, and yeah, we we have to work to ourselves, with our emotions. This is very important now. Yeah.
So basically, women need to basically, if I really understand what you are saying that women have a big role to play on telling the kids to accept themselves the way they are. And there is nothing shame to be Afro-Mexicans.
Definitely.
I'm going to ask my last question. For the people who live outside Mexico, what can they do to learn more and support the Afro-Mexican community?
That's a very good question too. Um, we know if we don't know our history, we are condemned to repeat it. So we need to study our history, but we have to learn as well. So not just go and buy a book and read, okay, Senegal this, slavery that, Mexico this, colonialism, and Gonzalo Aguirre, and we were treated as animals, we were treated as beasts. We the census, not the register of population in Mexico started the records. They started registering Black people as humans, like after the slavery. Before they were treated as mules, as animals, as beasts. This is a trauma. This is huge. This is a huge trauma we lived in Mexico and Central and South America, and actually in North America as well, and through slavery. So just studying the slavery, it's such a trauma. So it's not just reading a book or watching a movie, or my mom doesn't know how to deal with that. It's I'm gonna be responsible of studying what happened with my ancestors. How am I gonna deal with that? But I'm not already in Mexico, and I am Afro-Mexican. So am I gonna face that we have already rights? What am I gonna do with that? What am I gonna do with my emotions? What am I gonna do? And so we have to keep studying. We have to study our history, but also what am I gonna do with that? And how am I gonna deal with those emotions? So we have to be responsible.
I see.
As mothers, as students, as citizens, as Afro-Mexicans. We have all this variety of. We have to face how we have all these fronts, like in a war. You cannot like face this front, but you also have to face the social, the spiritual, the culture, and my emotions, because maybe my ancestors were suffering a lot. That's why my mom couldn't deal with that, but my mom is already dead. So what am I going to do with this? So we have to like being responsible. It's huge, but the task is it's not so easy. But we can make it fun, and we can make it interest. Yeah, we can watch it or see it as a game to play, like to play the drum, to dance, to write some novel, some book. What am I going to do with this? Well, I can write a book. I can dance. I can sing. I could probably learn from Africa this. This is going to help me to go through this, and I can learn, and at the same time, I deal with this emotion. Yeah.
Miss Maria, thank you again very much for joining me under the Human Rights Tree and taking us to a journey where you were able to describe the history, the culture, the place of Afro-Mexican in the Mexican society, the challenges they face, and how you view how you propose also solutions. And I feel like we are all part of the solution. We should bring this issue, talk about it, and perhaps find the ways to deal with the challenges. I'm still waiting for your book, um, and I think idea of book will be basically maybe to share your story as a Afro-Colombian growing up in Mexico. I think it will be an interesting book to share because and how you were able to overcome and being proud of who you are, because my view is if you don't really love yourself, there is no way you can love other people. And we should be able, we should embrace ourselves and embrace our differences so we can embrace other people. And I feel like
Yes.
through your work as a dancer, you were able to embrace the person you are, despite lack, there was no education to promote it, but you were able to embrace um, the person you are as Afro-Mexicans. And thank you very much for sharing that story with us today. Mm.
Thank you very much. It's part of my life and it's part of I think my nature. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Alpha.
Again, thank you. And I will keep in touch. Maybe the book will come along.
Yeah, I'm still working on the book,
Okay,
and actually, I was in like a course or mentoring,
okay,
and meant to write it to let's say define more and
okay.
to publish editing and all that. So I'm closer and closer. But yeah,
We look forward to it. Again, thank you
yes.
very much for joining me under the Human Rights Tree.
Thank you, Alpha. See you soon.
Bye.